revolution.
Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of the Angle Podcast. Today's guest performs such an instrumental part in pro wrestling. He's built his own legacy on top of his family's legacy. He's the host of Refin It Up with Brian Hebner. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brian Hebner. How are you? And welcome to the show.
I'm good, man. Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be on the show, man.
So much going on, of course, being part of Impact, but also doing your podcast. Being a Hebner is something obviously meaningful in pro wrestling. What does it mean to be such a part of such a legacy?
It's pretty cool. It's rewarding as well. I feel like that we've all done a good job of laying the land out and representing what a referee is all about in the business. And there is a lot of pressure. At some point there was. It's not as much anymore, obviously, as I've been in it for quite a while. But no, it's something that it's hard to hold up when you're the youngest trying to fill the boots, shall I say.
Of course. And obviously you grew up in the business with your dad being Earl Hebner, legendary referee, one of the greatest ever. Being heavily involved and honestly, it being such an instrumental part in your career. At what time in your life did you decide, okay, essentially I want to break into the family business?
I mean, at one point I thought I wanted to be a wrestler, but as you can tell, I never grew. So I quickly thought, wouldn't it be cool to do what my dad's doing? Like, wouldn't it be cool to do exactly what I've been watching him do? And so once I thought that wrestling was not going to be an option as far as me being a wrestler, it quickly shifted to wanting to become a referee.
Got it. And what does your family think, especially your dad? What do they think when you want to break into the business?
I think first a little pushback, especially from my mom, because it was just she thought of wrestling differently than obviously my dad. But I think that he was I would say it's kind of difficult. I would say he was excited about the thought, but wasn't sure about the actual results.
Got it. And you've been really everywhere in your career. You've been to WWE, NWA, TNA, and now Impact. What has been your favorite experience thus far? Which area did you really have the most fun in?
Honestly, I really, really enjoyed the years that I had with TNA before it became Impact. When it was, doing really, really well. It was so good. The locker room was so good. And this was all before it all started to tank. But it was a really fun environment. I really, really enjoyed the whole time I was there until the end. But it was really, really a very enjoyable place to work. I just really enjoyed myself and was just so happy that I found a new home once WWE was gone. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do after that. And so, it really worked out. And I was just happy and very blessed to have found TNA at the time.
Yeah. And when you were first part of TNA, I mean, that was really one of the greatest eras they ever had with that company. I mean, so many stars being there, so many big names being a part of it. But your job as a referee, obviously being one of the greatest that there has been, really. In your opinion, what makes a good referee? And also to you, what makes a good match to a referee?
I think that to be a good referee, you have to have, it all starts with cadence, with your counts. It all starts with knowledge of the sport, of the business itself. It comes with knowing what matches and moves mean for the referee. Getting out of the way for big moments that don't have anything to do with you. Yeah. Movement in the ring is very, very important. And that's something that's not coached a lot anymore. It's just kind of like people just do whatever they want to do. And there was a way when I was trained, that there was a certain way to move and get out of the way and things of that nature. But I mean, the most important thing is you have to have a good memory on your mind. You have to. In this business, it's just one of those things. And I'm not the smartest guy, that's for sure. It's just when you love wrestling, I mean, I'm like a sponge, and so it's easy for me. Yeah. I've been doing it for so long and been around it for so long, obviously because of the bloodlines. But I just think that a good referee, solid from front to back, is is just so detailed that I could sit here probably and just talk about it and make your podcast boring because there's just so much stuff. But I mean, just to lay out the major things is knowledge. I think you also need to know what the guys do in the ring, and that helps. I used to piddle around all the time before matches with Fit Finlay and Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar and guys before that people probably wouldn't even know. Maybe, I don't know, but still, just understanding what they are doing and what they're trying to do and create, and you help them have that same picture put across on TV when it's time to do that. So it's a lot more involved than people think.
Yeah. And speaking of Kurt Angle, I mean, he came out earlier this year and said you were the greatest referee that he was ever in the ring with, even, topping your father at one point. Because you met with guys like before the matches and you really were involved. That's kind of what he said there. What does it mean to have that type of respect from legends like Kurt Angle, but also others? And did you why did you choose to do those things to get so heavily involved before matches and whatnot?
Well, the thing is that well, first of all, let me answer your first question. I'm very honored and privileged and blessed to have the blessings from these guys, guys like Kurt Angle and all. It's just amazing, and it makes me feel so humble and just so happy with the way I've been able to kind of create my own career and not just be just, Earl's son and just I'm known as Brian Hebner, you know what I mean? But I'll still always be Earl's son, obviously. But I didn't want that to be the only thing that people remember me as. It's just, oh yeah, that was Earl's son. I wanted to be, Brian Hebner. Oh yeah, that's Earl's son, kind of thing. But to get involved as much as I did, it was because I cared so much about my matches and I wanted to make sure that I was the best I could be each and every time in that ring. And what that detail was me getting it all. So in other words, I would know matches from front to back. I just wouldn't get in there and know the finish because sometimes the finishes don't go the way they're supposed to. And it's been proven over and over again as time goes by, and it still happens. I've just been very blessed to just to have had the heart and the passion to put into it. And, obviously by listening to guys like Kurt Angle, God bless it. It's shown. So that's been awesome. I think it's what you put in anything, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? You could be the best guy that does rings. You could be the best guy that announces. You could be the best referee. You could be the best wrestler, but it's all what you give and give back. Yeah. And that's what I've always tried to do. And I'm just so happy when guys like that, like Kurt Angle, say stuff like that, because it makes me feel like everything I put in was all worth it.
Yeah. And, being around for so long, being a part of so many great matches and moments, do you have a favorite match that you were able to be a part of?
I mean, I have a lot. I mean, it's really a tough question because, I mean, I don't know how to just break one down and say this was it. But I'll say, like, the biggest honor, that I got, when there's been many of them. So I don't want you to think, what I'm saying, just it was younger. I was a little bit younger in my career too at the time. So I was honored to that. But when I found out that I was going to do Vince McMahon versus Hulk Hogan, that was pretty wow for me. Obviously it wasn't the best match I ever did, but it was the most, I would say, nostalgic match where I could say no one ever did that match. No one's ever done that. I did that. You know what I mean? And it was a very, 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 very nerve-wracking week leading up to that match till it finally happened. So I would say, that's just one of the ones that was just like, wow, Brian Hebner did that. I can't believe it. Like, to myself, I mean, that was just really, really cool. And what a moment for me. I mean, when that music of Hogan hit and then Vince coming down, and it was just, oh my gosh, you have no idea what it felt like to be in that ring. And I don't even know if I could describe it. All I can tell you is puckered butt and just,
yeah,
great.
I remember watching that match as a kid, WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 19, and watching that live on pay-per-view. That was that's actually my favorite WrestleMania event that they've had. And, the match that you're speaking about, such a great match, but just like you said, nostalgia and all those things come into play. So it's kind of cool to hear that was one of your favorite moments to be a part of. But your dad, being Earl Hebner, has been a part of so many big moments. Not always the best moments. There's obviously the Montreal Screwjob. which was a big part of history and a big part of your dad's history as well. There was chants that you used to receive during matches and whatnot in relation to that. When that first took place, how did you perceive what had happened?
I thought it was a work.
Yeah.
The whole time, and still do to this day. I just think it was just one that was done exactly properly done. That's a lot of kayfabe, and I just really don't believe that that's the way it worked out the way we're told. And I know that my dad's end is true, but I don't think that it was just that's the way it went. That's just me personally. Everybody has their own theory and their own thought process on what they think happened. Yeah. I just that was I think it was worked by all of them, and I think that they did a good job of it and kayfabed it, and it's still something that people talk about, like me and you right now. Yeah. And it was how long ago was that?
Exactly. Yeah. So long ago. And yeah. How did your dad cope with that? Being there firsthand with him. How did he cope after that? Because like you said, we're still talking about it today. It's such an impactful moment. How did he cope after that?
He was actually pretty bummed for a little bit. I just remember him telling me, which this should tell you what you need to know as far as what his part of it was once he found out, he had told David, his twin brother, if people out there don't know, that have the rental car warmed up and be ready, because as soon as the match was over, his bags and stuff were in the car. He jumped out the ring, jumped in the car, and headed to the hotel. And they took all the furniture and put it up on the door.
Wow!
So he knew he had to do what he had to do, and he did it for the business. Did it for WWE, WWF at the time. He did it for the boys in the back. So the respect that people should have for him, even though probably Canadians or whatever may have an issue with it if they're still into that, I don't know. Yeah. But what he did was for the company he worked for, and he wanted to save that title, and that was what he's asked, and that's what he did. Yeah. But it was a little depressing for him at first, because he just didn't want to do that to Brett. Him and Brett were friends, so it was tough for him. But he also knew that there was a chance that Brett was going to do something to him in that whole locker room by taking our title and going to WCW. So that was just a tough spot to be in, man. And I hope I never have that spot ever.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I don't believe that we'll have another moment like that ever, but if it does, hopefully you're not a part of that. But like we've been talking about, you've worked with the very best in the business all across the board, all different companies. Is there any names that come to mind as like your favorite to work with? Going over obviously matches before they take place, but also in the ring. Is there any names that come to mind as your favorite to work with?
I have several. When I was in WWE, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Undertaker. They were great guys to work with. Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero, when I was kind of assigned to them with the Team Angle. That was a tricky little moment for me. I just learned so much. That's where I learned, to get these matches and get them in full. Yeah. Eddie Guerrero was tough on me, and it was a good thing. Not a bad thing. Kurt was tough on me. But it's what made me better. And it was constructive criticism. It wasn't like they beat me up, I'm saying, but they just were like, you got to do this, that, and it was just like, yeah. Me and Eddie would sit there at the building till way longer than I wanted to. And just go and peck things to death with me and Chavo and Team Angle. And it was just kind of like, wow, it was something, but, and nobody wanted it, cause it was tough to do. And, it was assigned to me, and it was my baby, and I had to take it that way. But there's so many guys that were in the NWA, like Nick Aldis, that was awesome to work with. Ricky Starks, when I was there, Tyrus was awesome to work with. Yeah. Thomas Latimer, he was awesome to work with. There was a lot of people that were really good to work with. At that time, Thunder Rosa was there. Yeah. She was pretty fun to work with as well. And then now in Impact Wrestling, let me jump back to TNA, because AJ Styles and Bobby Roode and Bubba or Bully Ray, the Hardys. I mean, they were great guys to work with as well. I mean, I've been blessed and worked with a lot of people everywhere I went. Impact has some great rising stars, man, like Ace Austin and Josh Alexander. Eddie Edwards, a bull, man. He's a team leader and just a great guy to work with and gets my end of it. You know what I mean? And that's what's important. He knows. And a lot of these guys, like Moose, they know that I don't want just to finish. You know what I mean? They know that. The Motor City Machine Guns, those guys, Chris Sabin, he gets it. And he's thanked me over and over again, and told me that I was the best and da-da-da. And I'm not telling you this because I'm bragging. I'm telling you because that's the truth. That's what he's telling me, and I don't know, because there's no favorites or anything like that. I mean, there's a bunch of them that just obviously respect what I do and love to work with me because they know what they're getting when they have me in the ring. Yeah.
And I've had the honor to speak with Jimmy Corderas a few months back. We really got into things about, how being a referee today has changed, whatnot. And he kind of explained, in a sense that it has changed, that they're more a part of the match today than they are just directing the match, going over the line of where they should be in a sense.
Right.
How, in your mind, how has being a referee today changed since years before?
I just think it's totally different now. I just do think I agree with Jimmy. I agree with Corderas. It's just that it's kind of like nowadays the refs are trying to get their own shit in, trying to get their own spots in. Well, my point that I've always told when I do training seminars, things of that nature, nobody's paying a ticket to sit their ass in that seat for you. Nobody. And that goes for everybody. I don't care who you are. You could be Earl Hebner, you could be Brian Hebner, you could be Jimmy Corderas, Mike Chioda, you could be, doesn't matter, Charles Robinson. Nobody's paying $1 to see you do anything in that ring. They may respect what you do, but they're not paying the money to see you. They're paying the guys that you're in the ring with. Yeah. So why go above and beyond to try and be part of the show? Because to me nowadays, it's just that everybody's just trying to get over, and if you can't get over with your own abilities and just being a good ref, I mean, then that may be the problem. I don't know. It's just, it gets frustrating with today's because they're just not trained properly, and they're put into a position too soon before they're really, really ready for a TV. That's just me.
And we spoke a little bit about TNA and Impact. Today you're with Impact. And I've spoken to a lot of Impact superstars too. And I always like to ask them, what stands out about Impact amongst the other companies? What do you like most about Impact?
Well, the couple major things is that I watch wrestling and I try to watch all. Try. Some are very difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I just believe that if people were to give actually more attention to Impact or actually sit down and watch, you could miss a week and come right back and not be so thrown off of where we're at. I think our storylines, creative is really at a high level. I really, really honestly believe that. I watch it and I criticize, and I love watching our show. I really do, because I think it's got a good flow. It's over before it started. It seems like it's watchable, and you want to come back and see because there's cliffhangers, and our talent is just through the roof. Yeah, and could be stars in any company right now today. There's a bunch of them. I think that Impact's got to do a great job of keeping guys there that could be bigger stars on another bigger stage. Let's face it. But I think our stage is getting bigger. I mean, I do. And I think that we have a good show, and I think it could be one of wrestling's better shows if people were to actually physically sit down and watch it.
And today there are so many things happening in pro wrestling, new companies, everything just happening. Recently, WrestleMania 28, obviously Undertaker going into Hall of Fame, Cody Rhodes returning to WWE. Being a fan at heart, what is the most thrilling part of wrestling that's been going on for you?
Well, I just thank wrestling every day that it's given me everything I own. It's given me everything I have in life.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate that. I just would never, ever spit on the sport. I respect it way too much because it's done a lot for me and my family, my kids, friends. It's just, so it's something that if you give, it gives back, if that makes any sense. That's just really how I feel about the sport of wrestling. I just really think that it's the greatest sport in the world.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And you obviously have a podcast, Refin It Up with Brian Hebner. A great podcast, by the way, for all those who are going to be listening and watching. I'm a mark for pro wrestling. I love to hear backstories and hear things about, what went into creating this moment or, making this match so great. And I feel like that's what your podcast really does so well at, being a part of so many great moments, but referees in general, having the best backstories and having the best stories that there are. So for fans listening and watching, what could they expect when they listen to Refin It Up with Brian Hebner?
A lot of wild stories, a lot of crazy backstage stuff, truth, 100%. Just an entertaining, no long gated podcast. It's going to be able to get your workout in. It's going to be able to get you to work, and it's going to be entertaining as shit. It's going to be stuff that you'll want to hear about. And when me and RJ got together to put this thing together, I had always thought about doing one. And to me, it's just that there's nothing out there that gives you that third man in the ring with the stories and the things that go behind what we do and what we see the big stars do that you care about and pay to see.
Yeah.
And I just think that with all the years that I've got, that people could be interested in what goes on through my eyes and my vision and my experience. And that's basically what it is. But it's good stuff. I think we're working hard to make it better each week. Obviously not where we want to be, but we want to entertain, and we want ideas. We want feedback, and we take constructive criticism. We take great things about it. But we do feel like we're going in the right direction, and people are enjoying it. So it's Refin It Up. And, if you don't have it, don't listen to it, you should. And once again, you can hit me back at Baby Hebner on Twitter or on Instagram, and you can give me your feedback, and I'll be more than happy to hear it and respond to your questions. You can also submit questions that we answer on air. We put your name over. So if you want to get over, like some of the referees today, submit a question. We'll put your name out there. And it's going to be a fun ride. Yeah,
I've seen that you have, obviously episodes based, on Undertaker. You have one with Kurt Angle coming. So a lot of different exciting things coming from the podcast. So I'm excited, to see it and hear it. And I think a lot of other fans too are. But at the end of my interviews, I like to ask the same question to all my guests. And this one I'll ask, specifically for you here. Being a Hebner, it's like I said at the beginning, is there's a legacy there, and it's really important to pro wrestling. So what do you want to see from your eyes? What do you want the Hebner legacy to be?
Mine or the overall legacy of the Hebners?
Whichever yours overall, whichever you want to elaborate.
I mean, I would love to see my uncle and my dad get what they deserve, and that being go to the Hall of Fame. And that WWE one. That's the biggest, the most epic place to go. I think they deserve it. There's nobody on this planet that can tell me why they shouldn't. Yeah. I think that for them, that would be the chapter that would probably make a lot of people happy, including them.
Yeah.
As far as I go, for me, I just want people to respect me and say he did a hell of a job. He was a nice guy. He respected the shit out of this business. He was great to work with in the locker room. He was a great guy. He was a great ref. And damn, that's really it. Hall of Fame things, if that happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I'm fine with that. Yeah. I've never been a guy that wants to be in storylines. I've always wanted to work hard as shit and just show the abilities that I am and can do, doubt people, make the doubters believe, make the haters hate, and go away. And that's what I've always been. That's always been my fire. That's always been my passion. And it's because I was a Hebner, and I was hated on, and I was doubted. And it was because, it's only because he's Earl Hebner's son is why he's getting this, why he's doing that. No, it won't. And that's what I hoped I proved. So really at the end of the day, as long as I get the peers that I worked with, their respect, and as long as they all think that I did the best of my abilities and thought I was a good referee and thought I gave back to the business and loved the business, That's all I need, man.
And before on my podcast, I've had guests like DDP and Eric Bischoff, and even Jazz on here to talk. And we always end up talking about the Hall of Fame. And we always get to the same topic, that it's so important to give the flowers while you can. Give the people the flowers while they can. Induct them into the Hall of Fame while they're still here, while you still can. And I think it's really, very important to just continue that process of always just try to make the people that you care about know that you care about them, and also that they are cared about. So I really think that it's a no-brainer, to put your family and even including yourself into the WWE Hall of Fame. So hopefully, putting that into the universe, hopefully that happens. But I'm really excited to see, what happens going forward with Refin It Up. But also I'm thankful for what you've done for the business, because to be in your position where, you originally want to be a pro wrestler, but, going into the role of a referee and taking it seriously and giving your all, people saying that you are, the greatest to do it. That means something, honestly. And I'm so appreciative of all the memories and moments you were able to, help create. So just thankful for the time to have with you today.
Well, thank you very, very much, man. I really do appreciate your kind words. And I'll just say that, on that note, I appreciate every moment I've ever been blessed with in the ring, backstage, traveling with the boys.
Yeah.
It's an experience in a life that people can't always say they've done. And I'm just happy that I was able to do it at a high rate, and I'm not done doing it at a high rate.
Yeah.
But I just, I'm just very, very blessed that some of the great people I've been able to work with. And I'm hoping that people like you will see it your way. Like I've helped give them great memories and done and been over and been nice and done kind things and things of that nature, because I respect fans just like I respect some of my friends and family. That's the truth. I mean, I've got friends that I've made that were fans that I talk to and text and hang out with. I mean, it's just, fans pay the bills. Fans put the roof over my head. Fans put the driveway in my car, the shoes on my feet. So I want them to know that it was for them is why I worked so hard. You know what I mean? It wasn't just for me. And don't get me wrong, it was for me, but it was for me, for them.
Yeah.
So I really do thank you for your kind words. And I'm just very humble, man. I'm really happy to be, where I'm at.
Yeah. And for all the fans listening and watching, I know you said it before, where can they go to follow Brian Hebner? And also where can they go and listen and follow and do all that good stuff for Refin It Up with Brian Hebner?
Well, first of all, I'm on Twitter. It's @BabyHebner. I'm also on Instagram. It's @BabyHebner. So that's easy to remember. And I'm sorry, but I'll just tell you what RJ tells me, because RJ's the man. He's in control. I'm just the robot that he just tells me to move.
Yeah.
I'm on all platforms is all I know. I know that, you're on the Apple. I know, so that's actually an RJ question. I'm so sorry to y'all fans that, maybe going to listen and don't go. But on iPhones, I think I just found this out the other day, and I'm not technology smart. You'll figure that out if you more than an hour. But there's a podcast button on Apple phones that you can hit, and you can just put in Brian Hebner. And then as soon as you put that up, it'll pop up. You can listen to it there. And then we're also on a new station, which I'm not sure what that is either. I'm sorry. That's just RJ's department. So
That's fine.
So I'm just being honest, but it's out there and it's on major platforms. So I'd really appreciate if you guys want to go ahead and take a listen and just give me your feedback. And that's all you can do, right? Is just try.
Of course. Brian, it's been an honor and a pleasure, to take this time and chat with you. Appreciative of your time. And again, I'm very excited to see what happens next with you, but also the podcast and your family and the legacy. So I'm very excited, and, thank you again.
Thank you very, very much, man. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. And hopefully one day we can do this again, talk about the future, talk about the success of the show, and, we'll catch up then.
There you go. There you go, man.
Thanks, Brian. And have a good one.
Yep.
And before you go, please like, subscribe, and check out more wrestling content right here on the Angle Podcast.